When my daughter Clara looked me in the eyes and said, "Mom, everything Dad owned is legally mine now," I collapsed right there in the lawyer's office. 3 days later, I was sleeping in my car outside the home I'd built with my husband of 40 years. That's when I realized family ties are like nooses. The people you trust the most are holding the other end of the rope. If you're watching this, hit subscribe and tell me where you're from. Because trust me, this story twists more than a tornado in Texas, and you'll want to be here when I reveal what I found in my husband's secret safe deposit box. I used to be Miriam Coleman, respected community volunteer, devoted wife to Richard, and loving mother to our only daughter Clara. Now I'm just that poor woman people whisper about at the grocery store. The morning it all fell apart started normally enough. I'd been a widow for exactly 17 days. Richard's heart attack came without warning, 1 minute discussing vacation plans over breakfast, the next watching paramedics declare him dead in our kitchen. The grief was still raw when Clara insisted we meet with Richard's lawyer to get the paperwork sorted. Mr. Dawson's office smelled of leather and lemon polish. Clara sat beside me, squeezing my hand as he shuffled papers. "Mrs. Coleman," he began, avoiding my eyes, "I'm afraid there's been a development regarding your husband's estate." Clara's hand tightened on mine. I remember thinking she was bracing herself for bad news too. "Richard filed an amended will 6 months ago," he continued. "It's unusual, but legally binding. Everything, the house, investments, insurance policies, has been left solely to Clara." The room tilted. "That's impossible," I whispered. "We agreed everything would." "I have the documents here." Mr. Dawson slid papers across his mahogany desk. "His signature is verified." I turned to Clara, expecting shared shock. Instead, I saw something that froze my blood, a slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "You knew," I gasped. "You knew about this." "Dad wanted to make sure I was taken care of," she said coolly. "He wasn't confident you'd handle things properly." The room started spinning. 40 years of marriage, and Richard had cut me out completely. No warning, no discussion. But worse, my daughter had been complicit. "There must be some mistake," I pleaded with Mr. Dawson. "I helped build everything we have." "The house is solely in Clara's name now," he interrupted, "along with all accounts and assets." Clara stood up, straightening her expensive blazer. "I'll give you 2 weeks to find somewhere else to live, Mom. I'm planning to sell the house." Script part separator ===. My knees buckled as I left the lawyer's office. Clara walked ahead, tapping on her phone as if she hadn't just destroyed my life. "Clara, please," I called after her. "We need to talk about this." She turned, her face a mask I couldn't recognize. "There's nothing to discuss. Dad made his decision." "But why would he do this? We never had financial problems. We made all our decisions together." Clara's laugh was cold. "Did you really? There's a lot you don't know, Mom." That night, I couldn't sleep. I paced our Clara's house, looking at photos of Richard and me through the years. Building our first home. Clara's birth. Family vacations. Had it all been a lie? I called Richard's brother, Thomas, at dawn. "Miriam," he sighed heavily. "I was afraid this might happen." "You knew?" My voice cracked. "Not exactly, but Richard mentioned concerns. Something about investments you didn't know about." My stomach dropped. "What investments?" Thomas hesitated. "Look, I don't want to get in the middle. I'm living in a nightmare, Thomas. Please." He said there were Richard helped my son get into college, she explained, noticing my gaze. "After what happened with our businesses." "What exactly did happen?" I asked, perching stiffly on her couch. Elena poured us both tea. "Your husband and I were competitors. My small printing company was doing well until Richard's firm underbid every contract. He later admitted they operated at a loss just to drive me out." I shook my head. "That doesn't sound like Richard." "People show different faces to different people," Elena said softly. "When I was facing bankruptcy, Richard suddenly appeared with an offer. He would quietly support my family if I signed over my client list and patents." My hands trembled. "And the monthly payments?" "Started after my husband died." Richard felt guilty. Said he'd been pressured by investors. She paused. Including your daughter.
Clara. Impossible.
She was just a teenager when... No, Mrs. Coleman. Clara's been involved in your husband's business since college. She's the one who discovered my son and Richard had become close. Close? What do you mean? Elena's eyes filled with tears. Your husband was my son Miguel's biological father. The teacup slipped from my hand, shattering on the hardwood floor. Richard had an affair with you? Just once, Elena whispered. I never told my husband. But Clara somehow found out 3 years ago. She threatened to expose everything unless Richard revised his will. The room spun around me. My daughter blackmailed my husband? Elena nodded. She has evidence that would have destroyed Richard's reputation. And yours? What evidence? Financial records showing Richard embezzled from your joint accounts to help Miguel. And DNA test results. I stood up, unsteady. I need to see these records. Clara has them. In a safe deposit box at First National. Box 713. Script part separator. The next morning, I woke with a mission burning in my mind. First National Bank opened at 9 a.m., and I had to find out if Elena was telling the truth. I arrived early and approached the teller with a confidence I didn't feel. I need access to safe deposit box 713. The young woman checked her computer. That box is registered to Clara Coleman. Are you on the access list? My heart sank. No, but I'm her mother. It's an emergency. I'm sorry, Mr. Coleman. Bank policy. I wasn't leaving empty-handed. Then I need to speak with your manager. Now. The branch manager recognized me from charity events. Miriam. What can you do for you? Charles, I need your help. I lowered my voice. My husband just died, and there may be documents in my daughter's safe deposit box that affect the estate settlement. His sympathetic look gave me hope. Legally, I can't. I understand, but Clara's unavailable and we have a court deadline tomorrow. The lie came easily. Could you at least check when she last accessed it? Charles hesitated, then typed something. 3 days before your husband's death. And again the day after. My blood ran cold. Clara had been planning this. Thank you, I managed. As I turned to leave, Charles called after me. Miriam, if this is about the estate, you should know Richard came in last month. He stored something in our main vault under your name. Said it was for emergencies only. 10 minutes later, I sat alone in a viewing room clutching a sealed envelope. Inside, I found a letter in Richard's handwriting, a thumb drive, and a key. My dearest Miriam, the letter began. If you're reading this, I'm gone and things haven't gone as planned. Clara discovered something that gave her leverage over me. I've been trying to protect everyone, but time is running out. The enclosed evidence will explain everything. The key opens a storage unit containing the originals. I'm sorry for the pain this will cause. I never stopped loving you. Richard. Script part separator. With shaking hands, I plugged the thumb drive into my laptop at the bank's customer service desk. What I found shattered any remaining illusions about my family. Photos of Richard with Miguel at graduation, baseball games, and family dinners I knew nothing about. Financial records showing hundreds of thousands diverted from our joint accounts. But most devastating, emails between Clara and Richard that confirmed Elena's story. Either change your will or I'll tell Mom everything about your bastard son. Imagine what that would do to her reputation in the community. To yours. Richard's replies were desperate pleas. Clara, please. This will destroy your mother. There's enough money for everyone. Not interested in sharing. Sign the papers by Friday, or I send everything to the Chronicle. I sat frozen, tears streaming down my face as bank customers glanced uncomfortably in my direction. My own daughter had blackmailed her father into cutting me out completely. The storage unit key burned in my pocket. I had to see what else Richard had hidden. 30 minutes later, I stood before unit number 247 at SafeLock Storage. The padlock clicked open easily. Inside was a single filing cabinet and a small safe. The cabinet contained years of documentation, Miguel's birth certificate with Richard listed as father, school records showing Richard as an emergency contact, and medical records confirming paternity. But it was what I found in the safe that made my knees buckle. A second will, dated 1 week before Richard's death, notarized and witnessed properly. In it, Richard divided his estate equally between me, Clara, and Miguel Vasquez, acknowledging him publicly as his son. And a note, Miriam, Clara doesn't know about this will. Show it to Dawson immediately. The first will was signed under duress. I'm sorry I wasn't brave enough to tell you the truth while I was alive. I hope someday you can forgive me. I collapsed against the cold metal cabinet. Richard had tried to make things right in the end. But why hadn't Dawson presented this will instead? Then I saw it, a sealed envelope addressed to me with open in case of foul play written in Richard's hand. Script part separator, My hands trembled as I tore open the envelope labeled open in case of foul play. Inside was a single sheet of paper with Richard's distinctive handwriting. Miriam, if you're reading this, you must act quickly. I suspect Clara may have influenced Dawson. The night I signed the revised will splitting everything 3 ways, he seemed nervous. Mentioned something about Clara investing in his struggling practice. Don't trust him. Take this to attorney Sarah Winters at 1432, Oakwood Boulevard instead. And Miriam, watch your back. Clara's ambition has always scared me. My phone buzzed with a text from Clara. Movers coming tomorrow. Be out by noon. Tomorrow. She'd said I had 2 weeks. My heart pounded as I gathered Richard's documents. I needed to act immediately. I drove straight to Sarah Winters' office, barely noticing I was speeding. The receptionist tried to stop me, but I pushed past. This is an emergency, I insisted, bursting into Sarah's office where she sat with another client. Mrs. Coleman. Sarah stood, confused. What's Richard sent me? I thrust the documents toward her. Please, I have less than 24 hours before I'm homeless. Sarah apologized to her client and quickly ushered me into a conference room. As she reviewed the papers, her expression shifted from skeptical to alarmed. This is extremely serious, she said finally. If authentic, this will supersede the one Clara is using. And these emails. She shook her head. This is clear blackmail and fraud. Can you help me? We need an emergency injunction. She checked her watch. Judge Reynolds might still be in chambers. Give me 20 minutes. While Sarah made calls, I sat staring at my reflection in the darkened conference room window. How had I not seen who Clara really was? Had I been blind to her darkness, or had I somehow created it? Sarah returned looking determined. Judge Reynolds will see us in 30 minutes. We're also filing criminal charges against Dawson for suppressing the valid will. And Clara. One step at a time. Sarah gathered the documents. But Mrs. Coleman, you should know, if this goes forward, everything comes out. Miguel. The affair. All of it. I took a deep breath. I have nothing left to lose. As we hurried to her car, my phone rang. Clara's name flashed on the screen. Should I answer it? I asked Sarah. Put it on speaker. Script part separator, Hello. My voice sounded stronger than I felt. Mom, Clara said, her tone unnervingly calm. I've been thinking about our situation. I'd like to meet to discuss terms. Terms. I repeated, catching Sarah's warning glance. Yes. I'm willing to be generous, a small condo, perhaps a monthly stipend. We're family, after all. De audacite stole mai breve. That's very kind, considering you're throwing me out tomorrow. Business decisions shouldn't be personal, she replied smoothly. Meet me at Dad's office in an hour? Just the 2 of us. Sarah shook her head vigorously. I can't today, I said. Perhaps. Mom, Clara's voice hardened. I found some interesting papers in Dad's study this morning. Things about Miguel Vasquez. I think we should discuss them before they accidentally become public. My blood ran cold. She'd found Richard's records. What do you want, Clara? Just a meeting. 1 hour. Dad's office. She hung up. Sarah gripped my arm. It's a trap. She knows you've found something. Or she's panicking, I countered. Maybe she found evidence Richard changed his will. We need that injunction first. What if she destroys the evidence before then? I need to keep her talking until the judge rules. Sarah looked conflicted. At least let me send my investigator with you. He can wait outside. Fine, I agreed, my mind racing. But I need to get something from home first. 20 minutes later, I stood in Richard's office, removing the small recording device he'd hidden years ago behind his desk. My husband had been paranoid about industrial espionage. Now his caution might save me. Script part separator, I activated the recorder and slipped it into my jacket pocket as I entered Richard's corporate office building for what might be the last time. Clara was waiting in his corner office, looking perfectly composed in an outfit that probably cost more than my car. Mom, thank you for coming. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Can I offer you something? Coffee. Water. Let's skip the pleasantries, Clara. I remained standing. You mentioned terms. She gestured to the chair across from her, Richard's chair. My husband's seat, which she had claimed like everything else. I've been thinking about your situation, she said, tapping perfectly manicured nails on the desk. Daddy may have had his reasons for the will, but I'm not heartless. I'll set you up with a modest monthly allowance. Nothing extravagant, but enough to live on. How generous, I replied, my voice dripping with sarcasm. And what do I need to do for this charity? Clara's smile tightened. Sign a few papers. A non-disclosure agreement. A statement acknowledging the will's validity. She slid documents across the desk. Simple formalities. And if I refuse? Then things become complicated. She opened her laptop and turned it toward me. On screen was Miguel Vasquez's birth certificate. Imagine the scandal. Richard Coleman, community leader and philanthropist, secret father to the son of a business rival he destroyed. The affair, the cover-up, the decades of lies. You would destroy your father's memory just to hurt me? Not if you sign. Her eyes were cold. You have 24 hours to decide. I stood up slowly. You know, I've been wondering something. Did you actually love your father, Clara? Or was he just an ATM to you? Her composure cracked slightly. Don't you dare question my relationship with Daddy. Daddy, I repeated. The man you blackmailed on his deathbed. Clara's eyes widened. What are you talking about? I pulled out copies of the emails I'd found. These. Where you threatened to expose Miguel unless he changed his will. Script part separator, She snatched the papers, scanning them rapidly. Her face paled, then flushed with anger. Where did you get these? She hissed. Richard kept copies. Just like he kept a copy of his real final will. Clara's laugh was brittle. What are you talking about? There is no other will. The one dated a week before his death. The one leaving everything split 3 ways between you, me, and Miguel. The one Mr. Dawson conveniently failed to mention. Her composure slipped completely. You're lying. Dawson would have told me. Dawson is being investigated as we speak. Emergency hearing with Judge Reynolds in. I checked my watch. 15 minutes. Clara stood suddenly, chair scraping against hardwood. You think you've won? That judge will never believe you over me. I have proof Dad wasn't mentally competent when he signed anything that last week. What are you saying? My heart froze. Dad was already sick. I knew it. His doctor knew it. Why do you think I pushed him to change his will when I did? Her smile was triumphant. Heart condition. Early stages of dementia. All documented. You're lying, I whispered, though doubt crept in. Richard had seemed forgetful those last months. The medications he was taking affected his judgment. I have his doctor's sworn statement. She picked up her phone. And speaking of that doctor, I should tell him you're causing trouble. Dr. Mercer is very concerned about your mental health since Dad died. Grief can make people delusional, paranoid even. A cold dread washed over me as she continued. In fact, he thinks you might need psychiatric evaluation. Involuntary, if necessary. Script part separator equals. I felt my legs weaken as the trap closed around me. Clara hadn't just stolen my inheritance. She was trying to have me committed. You wouldn't dare, I whispered. Try me. Her smile was ice cold. Who would believe you, the grieving widow with no access to funds, over me, the devoted daughter with power of attorney and a doctor's statement? I reached into my pocket, feeling the recorder. My last hope. Before you make that call, I said slowly, there's something you should know. I wasn't alone when I found those documents. Clara paused, finger hovering over her phone. What? Elena Vasquez was with me. She's prepared to testify about your blackmail scheme. That woman. Clara scoffed. A disgruntled former business rival with a bastard son? Please. And Miguel has agreed to a DNA test. The results will prove everything. Clara's face hardened. It won't matter. By the time any test results come back, you'll be under psychiatric observation, unable to make legal decisions. I took a deep breath. You've thought of everything, haven't you? Except one thing. And what's that? I pulled out my phone and pressed play. Clara's voice filled the room. Dad was already sick. Inuit. Why do you think I pushed him to change his will when I did? The color drained from her face. I've been recording our entire conversation, I said quietly. And Sarah Winter's investigator is outside that door with a copy of Richard's real will. The judge is waiting for both of us. Clara lunged for my phone, but I stepped back. The door burst open as Sarah and her investigator entered with 2 police officers. Clara Coleman. One officer said. We have some questions about suppression of legal documents and potential elder abuse. Script part separator equals. Clara's face contorted with rage. This is ridiculous. I'm the victim here. She's trying to steal what Dad rightfully left me. Save it for the judge, Sarah said coolly, nodding to the officers. We have the emergency hearing in 10 minutes. As they escorted Clara out, she turned to me, eyes blazing. You think you've won? This isn't over. I have connections you can't imagine. The courthouse was buzzing with activity when we arrived. Judge Reynolds, a stern woman in her 60s, listened intently as Sarah presented the evidence, Richard's suppressed will, the recordings, and Elena Vasquez's sworn statement. Clara's attorney, a slick man in an expensive suit, argued forcefully. Your Honor, these accusations are baseless. Mrs. Coleman is clearly unstable following her husband's death. Then explain this, Judge Reynolds said, holding up the notarized will. This appears properly executed and witnessed. We contend Mr. Coleman was not of sound mind. That's a matter for a full hearing, the judge cut him off. For now, I'm issuing a temporary injunction freezing all assets until this case is resolved. Mrs. Coleman will retain residence in the family home, and Mr. Dawson is temporarily suspended from administering the estate. Clara stood up. This is outrageous. My father. Miss Coleman, Judge Reynolds warned, one more outburst and I'll hold you in contempt. As we left the courtroom, reporters swarmed around us. The Coleman family drama was now public, exactly what Clara had threatened to expose about Richard. Mrs. Coleman, is it true your husband had a secret son? Did your daughter try to have you committed? Was Richard Coleman's death really from natural causes? That last question stopped me cold. I hadn't even considered script part separator equals. Sarah pulled me through the crowd of reporters, shielding me from their questions as we hurried to her car. Ignore them, she whispered. They'll say anything for a reaction. But that last question echoed in my mind as we drove away. Had Richard's death truly been natural? The timing now seemed suspiciously convenient for Clara. Back at the house, my house again, at least temporarily, I found the locks changed. Sarah made some calls, and within an hour, a locksmith arrived. Clara had moved fast. Inside, I discovered my bedroom ransacked. Richard's study was worse, files missing, computer gone, safe open and empty. She's destroying evidence, Sarah said grimly, taking photos with her phone. I'll have the investigator document everything. That night, alone in my house, I couldn't sleep. Every creak made me jump. What if Clara came back? What if she wasn't working alone? The thought that my daughter might have had something to do with Richard's death haunted me. At dawn, I called Miguel Vasquez. We needed to talk. We met at a quiet cafe across town. The resemblance to Richard was striking now that I knew to look for it. The same thoughtful brow, the same way of tilting his head when listening. "I'm sorry we're meeting under these circumstances," he said softly. "My mother told me everything." "Did Richard ever mention being afraid of Clara?" I asked directly.
Miguel hesitative.
"The last time I saw him, 2 weeks before he died, he seemed anxious. Said he was fixing past mistakes. When I asked if everything was okay, he said Clara had been making troubling business decisions." "What kind of decisions?" "He wouldn't say exactly. Just that she'd made connections he didn't approve of. People who played by different rules." A chill ran through me. "Miguel, do you think Clara might have had something to do with your father's death?" His eyes met mine. "I've been wondering the same thing, Mrs. Coleman. And I think we need to find out." Together, Miguel and I decided to investigate Richard's final days. While Sarah handled the legal battle, we focused on what happened the morning Richard died. I called our longtime housekeeper, Consuela, who'd been with us for 15 years. "Mrs. Coleman," she said, sounding relieved. "I've been trying to reach you, but Miss Clara said you were in a facility." "What facility?" "For your nerves. She told everyone you had a breakdown." Consuela paused. "But that didn't sound like you." "Consuela, I need to know everything about the morning Richard died." "Anything unusual?" She hesitated. "Miss Clara came very early that day, before sunrise. I heard them arguing in his study. When I brought coffee, Mr. Richard looked pale, upset. Miss Clara was smiling though. My blood ran cold. Did she bring anything with her?" "Yes. A small package. And after she left, Mr. Richard took his heart medication." Miguel obtained Richard's medical records through a court order. The autopsy showed lethal levels of his heart medication in his system, enough to trigger a massive coronary event. "This was no accident," Miguel said grimly, showing me the report. With this evidence, the police reopened the investigation into Richard's death. They searched Clara's apartment and found damning evidence: Richard's original pills, replaced with higher dosage counterfeits, and handwritten notes about inheritance law and untraceable methods. The day Clara was arrested, I watched from the courthouse steps, feeling hollow inside. The daughter I'd raised was led away in handcuffs, charged with first-degree murder. The media circus was relentless. "Coleman heiress kills father for fortune," screamed the headlines. I declined all interviews, but Elena and Miguel stood beside me through the trial, forming a strange new family born from tragedy. Clara maintained her innocence until the forensic evidence became overwhelming. Facing life imprisonment, she finally confessed in exchange for a reduced sentence. In the end, Richard's final will was upheld. The estate was divided 3 ways, between me, Miguel, and a victims' foundation I established in Richard's name. I visit Clara once a month at the Women's Correctional Facility. She rarely speaks to me. I keep going because I'm still her mother, despite everything. Sometimes at night, I look at old family photos and wonder when my daughter became a stranger. When ambition turned to something darker. Whether I could have seen it coming. There are no simple answers, no clean endings to betrayal this deep. Just the slow, painful process of rebuilding a life from ashes, and the knowledge that the people we think we know best can sometimes be the most dangerous strangers of all.